Spirit Energy has completed over 6,000 solar installations since 2010. Every single one has had a technical and structural survey by one of our head electricians. Today, GaryDoesSolar is coming to audit that survey. We're at this new build house in Reading, and our head of installations is about to carry out a live technical and structural survey. Gary's going to be coming along and scrutinising it. The roof, the loft, the cable routes, the kit locations, the structural assessment. You'll see exactly what we check, what we measure, what we tell the customer, and the questions that homeowners tend to ask at this stage. If you're planning a solar or battery installation, this should give you a clear picture of what a proper survey looks like and why it matters. And it might also flag a few things that you hadn't thought about yet if you're planning your own solar installation. So let me talk you through the spec of the system. And this isn't just any install. In collaboration with Gary, we're actually using this project to answer two of the most asked questions in UK solar. The first, microinverters versus string inverters. Everyone knows that microinverters are designed to help with shade, but on an unshaded roof, do they actually generate more power? Are they actually worth the money, or are you paying a premium for not much gain? The second test is looking at bifacial panels on a pitch tile roof. The manufacturers say that bifacial panels boost generation. The skeptics say that it's a bit of a gimmick because the panels are mounted only 160 millimeters above the surface of the roof. To find out, we're installing 24 panels in 3 independent arrays of 8. On the left, we're going to have monofacial 490 watt Longi S10 panels with N-phase microinverters. In the middle, we'll have the same panels on one string of a Fronius inverter. And then at the far right, we'll have bifacial panels on the other Fronius inverter string. So 3 sets of panels on the same roof, at the same pitch, with the same orientation. And they'll all be measured independently to verify the results. Today's survey is going to nail down the detail. We're also looking to prepare this house to have a 3-phase Tesla Powerwall installed when that's introduced in the UK. Spirit Energy installed the first Tesla Powerwall 3 in the country back in 2024, and we're very excited about the 3-phase version, which is coming soon. So on a normal tech survey, you don't have the option to get this close to the roof unless you get on your ladder. But what are you looking at when you're actually assessing sort of the panel layout that our design team's given you? What are you looking at with regards to the roof?
I mean, this is a privilege having a SCAF, but what I'm doing is I'm measuring the roof.
Yeah.
I'm trying from the ground, I'm looking at the roofing tiles to try and ascertain any damages. Some you can clearly see, some you can't. I'm making sure that what's been sold fits.
Yeah.
And a question that the customer will always ask me at the end of the survey, can I get more?
Yeah.
So I'm also looking to see if we can get more. It's not a sales thing. I don't do sales. That's not me. But I know the way surveys go, and I know people want to maximise their roof.
We've got basically 3 arrays, which I think the first one would come about here.
Yeah.
And then you've got the middle one and the far one.
Yes. And those vents there, is that going to cause a problem with the arrays? Or
No, so those ones there, Gary, they're for the building ventilation. They're not for soil pipes. So they're staying. They're not in the way of the array.
They're not in the way of the arrays.
No, they're not. We'll be below that.
So when can and can't you go over a vent with a tile?
We can
with
possibly,
a panel?
like if it's a soil vent pipe, or if it's like a bathroom extractor.
Yeah.
We've got one here actually, I just noticed.
Oh, right.
We can go over that. And if that had a pipe coming out, you could generally change it for a vent tile like that. But those are different, they're for building ventilation, so we won't touch that.
That's what we do when you've got a tube vent. I don't know the technical term. We replace it with a vent tile, then we go over it with the panels.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Yes. Cool. But those we can't.
Most roofs, our homeowners usually have houses like this. They're using an enormous amount of electricity.
Yeah.
And really, the expensive part of a solar install is the labour, the scaffolding, everything that goes on behind the scenes. The actual price of a solar panel is not
relatively
huge.
quite low. Yeah.
Exactly. So then really the goal to get the best investment return is maximise the roof space. Obviously we're not doing that here because we're doing these tests.
Yeah.
But something we get asked quite a lot is under the MCS regulations, I think it's MIS 3002.
Yeah.
You're not supposed, or the guidelines say don't come within 40 centimetres of the edge of the roof.
Yes.
And that's something a lot of our clients say, because they're very switched on technically. They say, hang on, are you sure we can do that? And we're like, yes, you can. What you have to do in that situation is run a full proper structural survey, which we do anyway, and then properly design the roofing brackets and the roofing layout so it's fixed securely, which again we do anyway. So actually encroaching on that 40mm guideline boundary is not an issue.
Well, actually that happened on my own house, because to get the array that I wanted, and I had some Velux windows in the way, so it was a bit like Tetris trying to manage it all around. But I mean, originally the installer came back with a lower number of panels, and I said, well, look, if we do it this way, we can get more, but it does extend past the MCS boundary. And I said, but my understanding at the time was that provided you take the extra precautions in the mounting and things like that, that's okay. So they looked into it, and sure, that was the case.
Exactly, it's not an issue.
So that's happening here as well then, great.
Yeah. For a standard retrofit structural survey, what are you measuring? What are you checking?
So what I'm measuring up there is the rafters, the spacing, the size of the rafter.
Yeah.
Again, on a truss roof, it's standard, so you're measuring the span of the roof, length of the roof. If it's an older style roof, it would have a purlin, a timber purlin, so you're measuring the timber purlin distance of that, where that situates along the rafter's length.
And then obviously the clamps on the roof that obviously you've got the clamps, and then you've got the railings the panels sit on, and then you've got the panels.
Yes.
And something we had asked a lot is how actually do those mounting system hooks fit into the roof?
Oh,
Are they going to have nails poking through or something?
Oh no. So there used to be a misunderstanding that the roofing hooks, if you like, attached to the battens. They don't. They actually attach to the rafters between the battens. I mean, this project, you can see the rafters there are 125 mil.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're screwed into the rafters with 2 screws. You wouldn't see the screws come through the other side here, not at all. Cables have already been run.
Oh, brilliant!
It's a bit dark, but the cables here. So here's the DC.
Yeah.
And here's the AC. So you can see that they're separated. And you can see the DC. One problem with the DC is if they're run just behind the surface of the plasterboard, you need mechanical protection.
Yeah.
But obviously here, they're way sunk back and they're behind ducting and piping, so there's no danger.
This is obviously the advantage of doing a new build is we can work with the builders to share labour.
Yeah, so we supplied the cable, I assume.
Yeah.
And the builders have run that in for us, and they've run in the AC for the end phase.
Yeah.
The string inverter in this property is not going in the loft space. So
no,
if you're wondering, well, where's the AC cable for that? That will be down in the barn.
And then obviously, if this were a retrofit, which most of our projects are,
yes.
What sort of steps do we take to make sure that the cable's hidden internally and the customer's happy?
On a retrofit, we would look to go external.
Right.
We can go internal if there's like an airing cupboard or something like that, or a riser. Lifting floors is last resort.
Right, fine.
It takes time. Lifting carpets, lifting floors, putting it back down. It's a last resort for us. We like to try and leave a property
as we found it.
That you can't see that we've been there in terms of we don't run cables on the side of the house where it's in full view. You know, we'll go the extra mile to try and hide any cabling. It's not always possible.
No.
But that's always in mind for myself or Ryan if he's surveying. We're both in the same mindset. No cables on show.
Yeah.
Can't always happen, but we will try. So this is the plant room. What's happening here is, well, there's the cables that will, the DC cable.
That's all the DC.
So that will go out onto the roof and connect to the string inverter.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to the builder just a moment ago. I believe a wall is being built here.
Yeah.
Which encloses all of this, and I think the PV inverter, string inverter, is going on this face of the wall.
So you got the Fronius, then you got the main consumer unit, which is where the end phase feeds into.
Yeah.
You got the 3 distribution boards for the 3 car chargers.
Correct. Yeah.
And then we wanted to leave provision for Tesla Powerwall 3, which would be AC coupled.
Okay,
So it wouldn't impact the test. But
so yeah, no, the Tesla, so the gateway element of that, I would hope, because that's presumably the incoming tails once they get connected. So gateway is somewhere here.
Yeah.
If not, next to the meter box, which will be somewhere outside.
Fine.
But here is the preference.
Fine.
So yes, here, and then that will then obviously refeed the consumer unit and so on.
Yeah.
Batteries, I assume the other end of this cable will be where the batteries are going, because there's not enough space here, so I assume that'll be the garage.
So let's talk about, because obviously with both the batteries to do the SIG and the Tesla,
Yeah.
you very often can't put the battery in the same place as the gateway. So the fundamental thing is the gateway location. That's got to be as close to the supply as possible.
Absolutely, yes. So we want that really because of the length of the tails. So we don't want to extend the length of the tails over 3 meters.
So by tails, you mean the incoming
supply cables.
Incoming supply cables, and obviously on the installation of the gateway, because it can do power cut protection, we pull the tails, disconnect them, put them through the gateway,
Correct.
and then connect the gateway to the consumer unit of the house.
You've got it.
And then it can do that in a power cut.
Yeah.
Fine. So it needs to be as close as possible, so we don't have to extend the tails, because that's the really
That's it.
hard work.
Yeah, it can be done, but there's extra switch gear and fuses that will need to be involved. So no, gateway next to, or as close as possible to the meter location.
Fine.
But the battery, depends on which battery manufacturer, but the battery, generally speaking, anywhere you like. Tesla, for example, within 45 meters of the gateway.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could put that anywhere.
Well, something that comes up a lot is battery inside or outside.
Okay.
And most we would always say go inside, or at least in the garage if you can, because of the thermal management.
Absolutely, yes. So I would try and go inside the garage with a battery.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a living space. So garage, fine. They do hum. They do make a little bit of noise. They do give off a small amount of heat. Again, depending on which manufacturer. And Powerwall outside, I've got one of the old ones, I'm afraid, Powerwall 2. And I know that when we get near freezing or below freezing temperature, it decides that it won't charge at its full rate because it's too cold.
The new Powerwall 3's got such good thermal management that it's forecasting when the temperature is going to drop and actually when it's going to rise. The thing that's unique to Powerwall compared to all the other batteries is it's actually looking at heating the cells, preheating them if it's going to be cool, and it's actually pre-cooling them as well in the summer. It's trying to keep it trying to keep the lithium cells between an optimal temperature range, which is about 15 degrees.
And I guess they've had practice with that with their cars.
They have. Tesla's the best at thermal management.
So yeah.
So what did you think, Gary?
Well, I'm really impressed. I think Spirit Energy takes a lot of care in their installations, and that comes across today. Justin, he looks into detail and everything.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go. I think the roof space is just magnificent for this, and I think Spirit's doing all the right things in terms of how we're going to meter this so that the data is accurate, so that when the testing's complete, we've got some good results that people can look at and say, yeah, that's this is fair testing, and then they can make buying decisions against that, whatever they want to do. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, something that we talk about a lot is a solar installation, a battery installation. It's usually one of the top 3 most expensive investments most people ever make.
Yes.
And it's fundamental that you get it right and you put a lot of care into it. And ultimately, to get the best investment return, it has to last 25 plus years.
Yeah.
So you need to think about the quality of the kit you're installing. It's worth thinking about, it's worth putting time into the right design from the off.
Yeah.
Because if you can eke an extra 5% of power out of the roof, even if you have to pay a bit more for that extra 5%, over 25 years, it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
And what's really difficult for customers is they're having to make those design decisions when they don't necessarily know enough about the technology yet. So I'm hoping that with the project like that we're doing here, it just helps, it just helps people make the right decisions.
Exactly. And these two questions we're answering with the test, again, they're the 2 most common things that we get asked.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased that we're doing it. I think we've designed a really fair test.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait to see what the results are.
yeah, look forward to the roof install in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, cheers, Doc. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.